Hey guys, YouTuber 100 here. Alright, and now here I am with another obscure 2000s Disney film review. And so for my next review, next up is going to be a review for Max Keeble's Big Move. So this is a very obscure Disney movie. Yeah, I mean, it really hasn't really gotten a lot of recognition over the years. And it's even so obscure. Like, this is another one that Nostalgia Critic or Doug Walker hasn't done a Disney summer review on yet. And to be quite honest, this film, it's obscure for pretty good reasons. I mean, when this film came out, people they hated this movie. This film just had such a negative reception from both audiences and critics. They just really hated this movie. And this movie didn't even do well at the box office at all. This film actually ended up bombing pretty badly. This film only grossed about $18 million on its $25 million budget. So this film ended up losing about $7 million. So this film really was just a really big failure when it came out. Yeah, and I can honestly see this movie really getting more of a nostalgia critic review, an actual nostalgia critic review, than just a Disney summer review. I think this is probably a film that really is meant more for a nostalgia critic review. Yeah, remember Nostalgia Critic said in his review for Mr. Magoo that that film was released during the Disney's really bad run with their live action movies. At that time, just they were making some really horrible live action movies. They really did have like a yeah, they were not doing good with their live action movies because during that time, they just had so many terrible live action movies. There was Kid in King Arthur's Court, Jungle of the Jungle, Flubber, Mr. Magoo, I'll Be Home for Christmas, My Favorite Martian, Inspector Gadget, this film, and this was really during that part of that run of just the horrible live action movies Disney was producing. And Nostalgia Critic has even reviewed a lot of the movies that, a lot of the live action Disney movies that were coming out during that time. And this is probably another one that he will probably make a review for on one day. This is just a really really bad film. It's just really stupid, to be honest. I mean, this film really just seems like one of those cheesy made-for-TV kid films that you'd see on the Disney Channel or Nickelodeon or one of those kinds of channels. So it really does really have that feel. It really doesn't feel that cinematic, and it's just a very stupid movie. It is just such a cheesy movie. I mean, and it really just really just have all those cheesy cliches where you got this really a socially outcast kid, and he's just starting a junior high school, and in his first week with his two friends, they end up getting heckled by two bullies and just really like really getting treated like hell. And then the kid then the kid ends up having to there's a situation that goes on with him, and then then he just ends up running roughshod on the school. Cool. But then there's a change of plans later on, and then he has to really fix what everything that he did wrong and all this other stuff. Yeah, and it really just has all those cliches. You have the mean principal, you have the bullies, you have the best friend, you have the girl crush, and all those other cliches in there. This film is kind of like The Princess Diaries, where it just really is just very cheesy and very cliched, and just it's just all this stuff that we really have seen before. But this film doesn't do it nearly as well as The Princess Diaries did, and even The Princess Diaries didn't even do it that well. So that should really tell you something right there. Yeah. So the film really is just insanely stupid. It really does deserve the hate that it has gotten in all these years. Yeah. But with all my complaining about it, saying it's bad, I mean, is there nothing good about this film? Is it really just downright awful? Well, I do think there are some elements of the film that really are like not necessarily good, but are kind of um decent. Like there are like some uh, things about the film that really do like kind of it's not really like good. I shouldn't say that, but it's like there are elements that you can at least say like there was some effort that did go into them. Like some of the performances in the film, like there are like a lot of like bad performances in the film. Like there's a lot of bad acting in the film, but I do think like some performances in the film are like overall like decent. Like there are some where you do at least see that like the actors are trying. Yeah, because this movie's cast, like it features cast members such as Alex D. Linz, uh, Larry Miller, Jamie Kennedy, uh, Zena Grey, Josh Peck, Nora Dunn, Robert Carradine, and yeah. So it does like have cast members like that, and some of them do at least like are like trying, like they are like, trying to give it their all, and they do a decent job with it. Like Alex D. Lynch, for example, like he's the main character of the film, Max Keeble himself, yeah, and overall, like he is like very like his like a lot of his scenes, like a lot of like the stuff that he does, it is like very cheesy. But I mean, he does like at least like try like to really do as well as he can. Like I think the problem with Alex E. Lynch is because like a lot of his material really has not really been well received. Like of course, like he was Alex in Home Alone 3, and and he's back in this film, and in Siskel and Ebert's review of Home Alone 3, Roger Ebert, like, he did, like, kind of, like, praise Alex D. Lynch, say that he's charming, and overall, he was, like, pretty good in the movie. And, yeah, overall, like, he did do, like, a pretty good job in Home Alone 3, given, like, just, like, how bad the script was, and there wasn't very strong writing in it, like, he at least was like trying to really give it his all in Home Alone 3. And with what he was given to work with, I think that he did like overall a pretty good job with it. And in this film, I do think that he was like relatively decent in the film. Like there were some scenes where you could at least see like he was actually trying to do as well as he could. It wasn't just something where it was just like you're watching like a kid just like not even trying to act here. Like Alex C. Linz does at least try to do the best he can in a lot of his material. Like the his problem is just that like he's working with like a very weak script, so he really doesn't have a whole lot to work with. But yeah, with what he like is at least trying to do, he at least does attempt to give it his all with what he is given to work with. So I do think that he at least he is at least trying in the film. Yeah. And then you do have like Larry Miller as like the main villain of the film, the school principal, who's like very corrupt. And like I was talking about in my Princess Diaries review, like Larry Miller really just like steals the show. Just like he does like have some very funny acting, and it really does like deliver his lines very well. And yeah, this is another case of that. Just because, yeah, Larry Miller just he just like has like so over the top in the film that it really does become comical. Like there are like a lot of scenes with like Larry Miller in the film that actually do like get me to laugh. Like he is like pretty funny in the movie. It's just with just like a lot, just like his performances, like just like some of his line deliveries just are like really funny, and just like how over the top that he can get, just it does get like pretty funny. So I do think like Larry Miller really does steal the show in this film. Like I do think that he's probably like the best part of the movie. Yeah. As far as other cast members in the film, like you got like Josh Peck in there, which I always found like kind of interesting seeing like Josh Peck in the film, because this is of course a Disney film, and Josh Peck was like of course like doing was on Nickelodeon during this time. Like this was still like during the time where he was like doing the Amanda Show. So yeah, Josh Peck was like a Nickelodeon star at the time. So I've always found it kind of odd seeing a Nickelodeon star in a Disney film like this. Yeah. As far as he goes, like I really like praised Josh Peck before in the past, like talking about like Drake and Josh and like a lot of others, and just like how much I really enjoyed him. As far as how he is in this film, personally, I really don't really find him that funny in here. I mean, in this film, like, he plays, like, Max's best friend, and really, he's just, like, really weird in the film. Like, there's just, like, multiple scenes in here where he really does, like, act pretty gross. So, yeah, I mean, Josh Peck's character in the film, like, he's just weird in the film, and I just really don't find him very funny. Xena Gray, yeah, she's also in the film, and it's interesting because this is the second film Josh Peck and Xena Gray have like worked on together. The first one was Snow Day, yeah, and now they did this film together. So it's interesting seeing them like be in two films together and actually like being interacting with each other. Yeah, Xena Gray, like, oh, she's just like yeah, I'm talking about like obscure Disney films, and Xena Gray herself, she's pretty obscure too because yeah, I mean, Xena Gray just, like, I really haven't seen, like, too much of her, and just, yeah, and she's, like, just very obscure. She doesn't even have a Wikipedia page. So, yeah, she's just, like, really fallen into obscurity herself. And, yeah, she hasn't really done, like, a whole lot. I mean, the only stuff that I've really seen her in is, I know that she was, like, in, the, Ghost Next Door episode of Goosebumps. And yeah, she did Snow Day, she did this film, and she was also in like the 2006 Shaggy Dog film with Tim Allen. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, she really hasn't done a whole lot and just really like become very obscure herself. And yeah, and just so yeah, so she really wasn't very successful as an actress, but was she really that bad? Well, personally, I really don't think Xena Gray is really like that bad of an actress. I just really just think that she just really didn't really like get good roles in movies because, well, at least like she didn't get good movies to work on. So yeah, so she just it's kind of like the same case with like how it was with like the cast of the Princess Diaries, where just Xena Gray just really doesn't have anything to work with. But I do think that she is overall she's okay in the film. Like, yeah, if you were probably like around my age when this film came out, how how you probably did like kind of like get a crush on her, and yeah, and she is overall like kind of a pretty girl. But yeah, in the film, like she does okay. Like she plays like Max's other best friend in the movie, and over time, like there is like a point in the film where it does show that she does have like more feelings for Max than she's letting on, and then yeah, then like it really does kind of like culminate around towards the end of the film, and there is like kind of like a sweet moment where they actually like take each other's hands. So yeah, so I do buy that she does like have feeling for Max, and yeah, there's even like a point in the film where like Max ends up kind of like ditching his two friends for something else, and then you kind of like just like see the hurt in her face. So yeah, so I do think that she does okay. Like she can at least like uh used to really make you like really believe what she's really feeling. So yeah, so she's not real. I don't really think that she's terrible. It's just that she really doesn't have anything to work with. But I do think she is overall okay in the film. Yeah, and of course there are like some other uh, performances throughout the film. Like you do have like a Nora Dunn and Robert Carradine as Max's parents in the film, and they're all right. And yeah, and you have like guys like Orlando Brown plays one of the bullies in the film, and yeah, and he's kind of like pretty goofy and all that. Yeah, something that also I really do find kind of distracting about the film. Well, not really distracting, but just kind of weird. Is that this film really does like feature like kind of a lot of like kid actors that were kind of like famous among the kids at the time because yeah, like I said, you do have Josh Peck in the film, and you have like I said, you do have Orlando Brown in the film. This was kind of like or shortly after this was like when he started playing Eddie in That's So Raven, and yeah, and you also do have like Robert Carradine, like I said. Like Robert Carradine was not really a child actor, but yeah, he he was like he played Lizzie's dad on Lizzie McGuire. Higher, yeah, and you also did have a Justin Burfield, you know, have like appear in this movie, and of course, like Justin Burfield played Reese on Malcolm in the Middle. Well, and so yeah, so that it does get like kind of distracting. That like just like you do like see like all these like actors that you've seen on like TV all be in this movie. That is something else that kind of does like give it like that TV movie feel to it. Yeah, and you also like have like some cameos from like some celebrities that were like kind of popular during this time among the kids. Like Tony Hawk makes an appearance at the beginning of the film, and you do have Lil Romeo making a cameo in the film as well. So yeah, so you really do just like have all these things in the movie to really like make you like know like what like of the time that this movie really did come out, because like a lot of these cast members were like kind of like famous during this time. So yeah, so it does really get like kind of annoying like that. But yeah, like I said, like this movie is just like really stupid. Like it really is just like very cheesy, and you got like it's like so over the top and just dumb and all this other stuff. I really get the feeling that one of the reasons that this film really did get the hate that it did was because like a lot of parents really thought that this movie was really like sending bad messages to their kids with like how Max is acting in the film. Though I didn't really hear any stories about like any kids like acting up in school, like getting ideas from this movie at all. So I don't know, maybe just like parents really got the wrong idea from this film, but yeah, their kids really did know the difference between what's real and what's not real. Yeah, but yeah, regardless, this is still like a pretty stupid movie, and yeah, it is like pretty bad. But yeah, there are some things that do are like decent enough about the film. But yeah, it doesn't save the film. It is still like an extremely stupid film. So yeah, so this film really is not recommended, really. Yeah, so yeah, and something else that I also do want to mention is that this movie also kind of like has a theme song, which is like a little Romeo song, which really does like use the beat of the MC Hammer song "Bust a Move," and really just when I heard this song, it just really pissed me off that like they just use MC Hammer's beat, just like have little Romeo make vocals for this. Just it really pissed me off because I really do like the song "Bust a Move," and it just seemed like a total kind of like a slap in the face for them to really just use the beat for that song and just like make a little Romeo song out of it. And plus, yeah, the song I really don't like. Like, I'll put the song in the description if you want to hear it for yourself. But yeah, it really just pisses me off that they use like the MC Hammer beat. All right, but yeah, so yeah, the film just is like just extremely, extremely stupid and cheesy and all that other stuff. So yeah, so I would probably like give the film like 1.5 stars out of 4. Just yeah, it is a bad film, and I really don't recommend it. All right. So I'm already like 17 minutes into this video, so yeah. So let me just get right into it. All right. So as the film starts, it shows that like Max is like the paper boy for his neighborhood, and it shows that he is like being seeked out by like this twisted ice cream man who's played by Jamie Kennedy. And yeah, it is Jamie Kennedy, so enough said. Yeah, and it shows, and yeah, that ice cream man was always like trying to chase after Max and really get at him, because at one point in the film, Max revealed that apparently the ice cream man is after him because the ice cream man in the past like got busted by the health department because Max found a cockroach in his snow cone, and the ice cream man has been like trying to nail Max ever since, as revenge. Yeah, but yeah, it's shown that like Max was able to avoid the ice cream man, and and then yeah, but then it showed then that like it was just a dream Max was having, and then it showed like his alarm clock was actually like a Goldberg alarm clock screaming "Get out of bed, jabroni!" Yeah, and then it showed like Max was now starting junior high school. Yeah, and it showed that like his dad was like works in advertising, but is always like forced to wear just these goofy, silly costumes by his boss. But yeah, and then it showed like the school principal, Principal Gindrake, like he's just like just like he is really really hell bent on becoming like the school superintendent, and he's always trying to impress the superintendent, who was actually like an alumnus of the school, who was played for the football team. Yeah, yeah, it also showed then how Max and his two friends, Robe, who they named Robe. Well, they nicknamed him Robe. His name's Robert, but they label him as Robe due to like the robe that he's wearing, and it's also Max's other best friend Megan. And yeah, it's really weird because like I said, they call him Robe because of like the robe that he always wears, and they also say that like Megan always goes everywhere with her clarinet. But it's never actually touched upon like why they do that. Like why does he wear the robe and why does she always carry her clarinet everywhere? They never explain that. Yeah, that's another problem with the film. Just that there's a lot of stuff that they really don't explain or that touch upon at all. Yeah, but then it also showed that like there were like two school bullies. Bullies. One was actually one who was like physically abusive bully, Troy McGinty, who apparently was like an old friend of Max's when they were younger, and it showed that like he has like a fear of this children's TV frog McGoogles. Well, yeah, and there's also like the other one who is just like this money hungry bully Dobbs, and yeah, and it showed, like Max like explained that like apparently Dobbs wasn't a millionaire, but he lost it, and he's trying to get it back now, and he's doing it by trying to like steal money from other kids. Yeah, but then yeah, after like a Troy ends up like covering Max in garbage, like Gingerake thought that like a Max was really just like being like trying to like mess around and pull pranks and everything, and he was like kept a profile on Max, and yeah, and also Gingerake ended up like introducing like a new football program, and he was giving like the football team a new stadium to play in that he named Nebworth Stadium after the superintendent. Yeah, yeah. But then, yeah, then later that day, as Max paid a visit to an animal shelter right down the street from the school, like, it was revealed that the animal shelter would be, like, closing down at the end of the week because somebody, like, bought up the property. Yeah. And it was eventually revealed that, Gindrake was the one that was going to be closing down the shelter because that was where he was planning to build the new football stadium. Yeah. But then, yeah, after, like, Exo came home that day. Then his parents were telling him that they were moving to Chicago that Friday because his dad's boss wants him to run the new division up in Chicago. Yeah, and Max wasn't really happy about how moving at all. Yeah. Oh, but yeah, and then later on, like Max tried to like really try to convince his father that he should actually try standing up for himself and just go up against his boss, so his boss won't be able to just like push him around all the time. And that would come into play like towards the end of the movie, which you probably know what it is about, but yeah, I'll get to that later. Yeah, and then yeah, with Max finding out that the animal shelter was closing, then Megan and Rob then were like trying to like help to save the animal shelter. They put like flyers up all over the school, like trying to save the shelter. Though it's never really explained how they were going to try to save the shelter. Like it's never really touched upon, and like how they plan to save the shelter. Like whether it's like to help make money, need to keep it open, or what the deal is. Yeah, they don't ever like go into detail about that. They just say like they want to save the shelter, but how are they going to do it? So yeah, another thing that isn't explained. That's really like one of the big problems of the movie. Like a lot of the stuff in the film just it's not explained upon. Like the stuff that I have already mentioned, like why does Robe wear the robe? Why does Megan carry her clarinet? Why does um how are they going to save the shelter? All that other stuff, yeah. But then like it also like showed that like Max also like has this attraction to this older girl that is actually on his paper route, Jenna. Yeah, and then yeah, then after like McGinn Troy ended up giving Max a swirly. Max came into class late and was also wet, and the teacher was like trying to like get after Max. Yeah, this same bitch teacher also like let Dobbs steal Max's lunch money earlier on in the film, and now this bitch just like was trying to punish Max, just like trying to uh, make him write a 2,000 word essay that to turn in on that Friday. And then that's when Max like realized that if he was going to be gone, like he was moving on Friday, like nothing could really happen to him. So then that's when Max then decided to just like run roughshod on the school and just like act up. This is like just feeling that there wouldn't be any consequences for it since he'd be gone. So yeah, so then Max then just like ended up basically like kind of trashing the classroom, or at least like the teacher's belongings, because at one point like he ended up taking a bite of the apple on her desk, and then he ended up like cutting the power cord for the phone, and he kicked a globe across the room and was even like jumping around on other desks. So yeah, so Max was just like running roughshod on everything. And then later on Max then just like came up with a plan, and with Megan and Robe, that like he could like come up with ways to really just like nail all the bullies that are picking on him, and since he'll be gone on Friday, then like nothing could really happen to him, and he just really like said that like they really won't be gunning after Megan or Robe. Max is gonna be the one they want, so he's just like gave them the role of like plausible deniabilities or something like that. Yeah. So then yeah, then they just ended up like running a roughshod, just like pulling stunts on like all the bullies. Like they stole the ice cream man's coolant coil rather. Yeah, they stole like Dobbs's handheld device that he always uses. He ended up like they ended up like scaring Troy by like at one point, like when Troy opened up his locker, he like heard the McGoogle's theme song playing, and like whenever he closed it, like it would stop, and when he opened it back up, it would start playing again at the beginning. Yeah. And then with Gindrake, like what they did with him is that night, they snuck into his office, and then yeah, they were just like tampering with like a lot of his supplies and stuff, and then they discovered like on Ginger's computer that he was actually tampering with the school's budget, and he was like using practically all of it to fund the construction of the football stadium. So then Max just ended up like pouring some like animal pheromones that they like were explained earlier on in a science class. Max like poured like pheromones into Ginger's breath spray, and that he was always like using, like spraying into his mouth. Yeah. Oh, and I guess I should also mention that like the others like also like with Dobbs and the ice cream man, like they discovered that their stuff was missing because yeah, Dobbs just like saw that his handheld was gone, and the ice cream man also discovered that the ice cream in his truck was melting. Yeah. And also like Max X then like agreed with Megan and Rope to like have a going away party for him the day before he would be leaving. Yeah, and then yeah, and then on the day before like Max would be moving, then yeah, Max then like got some like his prank in on Troy because when like Max ended up like scaring Troy in the gym by like cutting the lights and then just having like this is like somebody wearing a McGoogle's costume like walking towards Troy and the door closing just in the dark. It was never actually revealed like who was actually in that McGoogle's costume. Was it Max? Was it Rome? Was it Megan? Was it somebody else? Yeah, they never really actually like reveal who was actually in that McGoogle's costume. Yeah. Yeah. And then yeah, then that day was the day that the superintendent, Bobby Networth, aka Crazy Legs, as Gindrake referred to him, was paying a visit to the school. Yeah, and yeah, it also like showed that like Gindrake spraying the breath spray in his mouth, and whenever he did, like animals would go crazy about it. Yeah, yeah, and then yeah, then eventually, then in the that day, like at lunch, then Max ended up like instigating a food fight in the cafeteria, where like yeah, every like there was just like chaos ensuing in a food fight. Food went all over the place. Yeah, yeah, and then yeah, Gindrake and Crazy Legs eventually walked in on it. Yeah, yeah, and then yeah, then that just like really got Gindrake really busted, and it really ruined Gindrake's chances of really becoming the successor to Crazy Legs. Yeah, yeah, and then eventually the Ice Cream Man and Dobbs then like ended up like getting um directed to meeting up with each other at the junkyard after like Dobbs' handheld device ended up in the Ice Cream Man's possession, and the coolant coil ended up in Dobbs' possession. So Dobbs and the Ice Cream Man met up at the junkyard that day, and then yeah, they were trying to get like their own items back, but yeah, they like it got into a physical altercation, and they ended up destroying each other's items. And then yeah, then Max then like used like a crane or something. something, yeah, one of those like claw machinery things where, and he lifted up the ice cream truck and actually like doused Dobbs and the ice cream man in all the melted ice cream. Yeah. And then, and it also showed like Troy like seeking counseling for his fear of McGoogles. And then yeah, Troy then realized that like like after like the counselor like question like like how like he could who could have done this to him. Yeah, Troy like came to the conclusion that it was Max since he knew of Troy's fear of McGoogles. So then yeah, and yeah, Dobbs also like knew that Max was the one behind what happened to him and the ice cream man, and Gingerake also like discovered that Max was the one that started the food fight. So yeah, everybody like knew that Max was behind everything. Yeah, but then yeah, then later on that day, they like Max ended up blowing off Megan and Robe's going away party. He in favor of going with Jenna to a party at a local diner, and then yeah, it was basically like with all like older, more popular kids and stuff. Yeah, and then eventually like Megan and Robe were able to like track Max down to the diner, and yeah, and they were just really upset that Max blew them off, and they just ended up I'm just leaving. But yeah, before Robe left, like he just told Max that like Megan really did like him, just really making Max like feel bad about it. Yeah, yeah. And then later on that night, yeah, Max's dad finally told Max and his mom that they weren't moving after all. That he like finally stood up to his boss and quit, so they were going to stay, and his Max's dad would start his own business. Yeah, and Max was just like speechless when he heard that they weren't moving. But yeah, Max just like it wasn't because he was happy that they were staying. It was because like just Max knew like now at this point that he was just absolutely screwed for everything that he pulled. The following day, when Max like went to school, he just really kept a low profile, really like hiding from everything because he knew like how screwed he really was. Yeah. And it's also shown now that like a Troy and Dobbs were now like targeting Robe and Megan due to like them being aligned with Max. Like Robe like, was just like going to be a victim of Troy every day. Hey, and yeah, Dobbs was pretty much like telling Megan that she pretty much had to hand his all her money over to him forever. Yeah, and even like Gindrake, he was now like just punishing the entire school for Max's actions because yeah, Gindrake made an announcement that just because of like like what Max caused at the school, just he like just suspended like a whole bunch of extracurricular activities and everything. Yeah. Yeah, but then eventually, then Max finally, uh, uh like got on Gindrake's camera, and yeah, he made issued an apology to the Meg and to Megan, Robe, and the rest of the school, and even called out Troy and Dobbs, saying that to, they called them out to face off with him in the parking lot at 3 o'clock that day, and then but then yeah, Gindrake then like walked in on it and was like trying to interrogate Max. But then, yeah, then Max then called Gindrake out on what he discovered that Gindrake was tampering with the budget for his football funds. Yeah. And yeah, Max also ended up like turning on the camera unbeknownst to Gindrake, and yeah, Gindrake then like confessed to all of it that he tampered with the budget, but he didn't care on the shortage of school supplies and all that. And he also told Max that the punishment that he's going to be giving to Max is would just be so severe it would be referred to as the Keeble, and future generations would just like plead to not go through the Keeble. Yeah, and it also showed then like a bulldozer arrived for Gindrake. Again, that was what he was planning to use to destroy the animal shelter. Yeah, so then yeah, Gindrake ended up like locking Max up in a janitor's closet. But then yeah, Max was eventually able to get out, and then he eventually then like faced off with a Dobbs and Troy in the parking lot. But then yeah, Gindrake at one point like he went back to go see Max again, but yeah, he saw that Max was gone. But yeah, he ended up getting locked in the janitor's closet by the janitor himself. Yeah, but yeah, he was eventually able to get out too. Yeah, but before Max and could actually physical come into physical contact with Troy and Dobbs. Then Megan and Robe ended up like stepping in, and then they just like let up like pretty much the whole students, like the band was like playing the song "We're Not Gonna Take It," and all the students then were like taking a stand against Dobbs and Troy, like saying that they were taking back their school and they were going to get revenge on them. And then they ended up like throwing them into the dumpster, even after like Max really like tried to get them to try to back off, because he was trying to like convince everybody that if they do anything to Troy and Dobbs, they were just as bad. But they ended up like falling in the dumpster anyway. Yeah. And then Max ended up like turning down an invite from Jenna to a party with the older kids in favor of Megan. Then Max then just took Megan's hand and just said he felt that not moving was the best move of all. But then they saw Gingerake and the bulldozer heading towards the animal shelter, and then Gingerake ended up crashing through the entrance of the animal shelter. But Max ended up jumping into the shelter too, and before Ginger could actually cause any real damage to the shelter, Max faced off with Gindrake. Again, then Gindrake then started to spray in his mouth again, but then the animals went crazy once again, and then Max was able to free the animals from a gate, and then the animals then all just charged at Gindrake and just chased him down on the street into the school parking lot. And then after that, everybody was very celebratory for Max. And then just showed that Max was victorious and the shelter was saved. And then it was shown that the shelter was saved, and Gingereg was also fired and facing criminal charges for what he did with the budget and stuff. And then the film then ended just showing Max just riding on his paper route, saying that he and his friends were happy that the first week of school was over and they could chill for the rest of the year. But then it showed the ice cream man was pursuing Max once again, and that's how it ended. So it is a very stupid movie. It is very cheesy, very cliched, very over the top, and it just really, really feel that just it got some of the hate that it did because it was sending some very bad messages and all that. So it's a very cheesy and stupid movie. So it's really not recommended. And like I said, I give it a star and a half out of 4. It is just a very cliche, cheesy, dumb movie. So it's not really hard to see why this film really is so obscure. Probably one of the biggest disappointments of Disney ever. They did have some films that really weren't making money at the time, but this was one of the big ones. This movie this was just a huge fail. So not really hard to see why it has become so obscure. So I really don't recommend this film. Alright. So I guess that's all I really have to say about it. Alright, so this does it for my review of Max Keeble's Big Move. So I hope you guys did enjoy this review, so thanks for watching. I'll see you later.